began in the 50s when he was growing up in Covina, a working-class suburb of Los Angeles. Like many boys, he was captivated by the horror film monsters on late-night TV. But Ricky Baker wasn't content just to watch those monsters.
From very early on, I said to my parents, I want to be a doctor when I grow up, and my mom was all excited by that. But what I really wanted to be was Dr. Frankenstein. The only reason I wanted to be a doctor is I liked all the machines and stuff that Frankenstein had and the instruments, and I liked the idea of like creating a monster.
When Baker found out that doctors didn't really create monsters, he abruptly changed his goal. He set out at age 10 to become a makeup artist. With grease paint and pie dough, Rick began doing crude monster makeups on himself. He soon discovered the thrill of fooling others with realistic illusions.
I went through a blood and guts stage. You know, the first time I did a gash on my hand, and I went to my mother and I went, look, you know, and she responded, and I went, you know, I fooled her. You know, this works.
At 13, he plunged into learning sculpture and mold making and started making rubber masks. While other kids were outside playing, Rick was hard at work in his room. An only child, he had the capacity for solitary endeavor. He also possessed an extreme shyness, which makeup helped him overcome.
When I first made myself up, and I was something other than little Ricky Baker, I noticed I could say things and do things that I couldn't do as myself.
I'm very proud of these masks. This is the first one Rick ever gave me. He made this when he was 13 years old.
When he was 15, Rick met Bob Burns, who had built monster suits for 1950s B films. The two hit it off, and Rick began visiting Bob, trying makeups on him. Impressed with talent, Bob drove his young friend over to the makeup union.
I took him over, he had his portfolio with him, which had some marvelous stuff in it, and the representative of the union talked to him and looked at the stuff and said, you know, son, this is very good stuff, very good work, but I just really don't think you have what it takes to be a makeup artist.
The experience did not shake Rick's determination. If he couldn't work in Hollywood movies, at least he could make movies with friends. Baker and several teenage buddies shot this film about Neanderthal men and a giant bird. Not only did Rick do the makeup, but that's him playing the thin caveman. If there was a single event that cinched Rick's choice of career, it was meeting his hero, makeup artist Dick Smith, whose book on monster makeup he had read. Smith would later become a legend for his work on such films as The Godfather and The Exorcist. He invited Baker to his New York home after Rick sent him photos of his work.
He came to my house when his parents came east on a trip to visit relatives. He had written to me when he was, I'm not sure of his age, maybe 17, 18, something like that. And I was enormously impressed by the pictures that he sent, because here was this teenage kid who was turning out stuff that was like professional level.
Baker had expected to get just a brief tour of Smith's studio. Instead, Smith kept him there all day and into the evening, teaching him the secrets of his trade.
All of a sudden I had this stack of information that was better than anything I'd gotten out of any book, and I just was itching to get back to my little makeup lab in my bedroom and start putting this to work.
Constantly improving his skills, Rick landed his first feature film job at age 19 on the low-budget horror flick Octoman. He enlisted the help of his friend Doug Beswick, who usually worked as a stop-motion animator.
Rick Baker and my assignment on the picture was to build a monster suit on a low budget. And this is the head from the Octoman.
He hated the design he was given to work with, but Rick took the assignment for the experience, and it proved to be a disillusioning one. He and Doug had been told that the monster would only be seen briefly in the shadows, so they shouldn't spend a lot of time on the suit's quality.
First day when we got there, they said, well, we're going to use the suit in the opening title sequence. And they had the suit walking day for night, just walking toward the camera, fully exposed. And the suit really wasn't designed to be used in wide open like that, in daylight.
The lesson I learned from Octoman is that you can't trust what they tell you, and you have to make sure that if they say they're never going to see the left side, don't worry about it. You have to do the left side as good as the right side. I try to make everything look as good in person as I can, and it's something I think you have to do in this business.
Through most of the 70s, Rick worked out of his parents' Covina home, paying his dues in low-budget movies. For one of those pictures, Schlock, Baker created his first movie ape suit. Rick was also enlisted to build a gorilla suit on his first big-budget film, the 1976 remake of King Kong. He ended up wearing it through most of the picture. With this and other performances in his own makeups, Rick has gained insight essential to becoming a master in his field. Director John Landis.
He's been in those gorilla suits. He's worn that foam on his face. He really does understand how an actor has to relate to it to create a performance.
Next on Masters of Fantasy, Rick Baker shifts from making monsters to human character designs and meets Oscar again.